getting swept by Golden State. They competed, could have won / should have won at least one game, but didn't win one or three. Game 4, they got smoked, and that's how it ends in Cleveland. Rachel Nichols, host of The Jump. That's always must watch, and you all have been having a blast with this free agency as we have here. And obviously Monday, I believe Kobe will be joining you. I don't know if that's in stone yet, but we'll see. Your reaction and the reaction from people around the league to LeBron to LA has been what?
Well, it's so interesting, right? Because the past few days, one of the big storylines about the Lakers have been, ooh, they better go trade for Kawhi because we don't know if Paul George is coming, and LeBron, he doesn't want to come if there's not another big star. He can come with him. And part of that, by the way, is a piggyback on this idea that if LeBron was going to leave Cleveland, part of the reason he would be leaving, right, is the perception that he'd be trying to win a championship somewhere else, that he thinks that place he would be going to, he'd have a better shot at winning the title than he did with the roster he had in Cleveland. And it's funny, as those ideas surfaced over the recent days, I got a lot of pushback from the guys in the LeBron group saying, wait a minute, that may be what the Lakers and Spurs think, that Kawhi is an intrinsic part of this deal, but that's not what LeBron thinks. LeBron is his own guy. He's making this choice on his own terms. And his thinking going into this is kind of threefold here, Scott. One issue is whether the Lakers have the championship team right now when he walks in the door. He has faith in Magic Johnson and Rob Pelinka and Jeannie Buss that they can build around him. And he will have a voice, by the way, in how they build around him. And we saw that with the length of contract that he signed. A 4-year deal. Last year as a player option. He never signed that long a deal when he returned to the Cavaliers this last time. That shows a faith in the organization. They can build that championship team. Another phase of this is his family. You know, he talked for the last year about, hey, my family's going to be a big part of this. A lot of people assumed, oh, the family's going to want to stay in Cleveland. His wife, Savannah, also from Akron, Ohio. Kids have grown up there. Well, guess what? They have a house here in Los Angeles. In fact, they have 2 homes. They're moving from one to the other. And there are great basketball opportunities for LeBron James Jr. here in Southern California. We heard the rumors a week or 2 ago from Gary Payton that Bronny would play for Sierra Canyon High School. Guess who plays for Sierra Canyon High School? Scottie Pippen Jr. plays for Sierra Canyon. Henry Martin Jr. plays for Sierra Canyon. We have Scottie Pippen on The Jump all the time, Scott, and he wouldn't knock down that Gary Payton rumor. He said, can't knock it down. So we had that as a little bit of a clue. And then the third idea with LeBron's thinking here is this idea of, hey, going to play for a franchise like the Los Angeles Lakers. The prestige there, the idea that he could come there and build something. And it is fascinating that after all of this, quote, ring-chasing super team sort of experience the NBA has had in recent years, it started with Miami and the Heat and the way they put that squad together and Kevin Durant going to the Warriors. We had Paul George say, I want to stay in Oklahoma City, even if this isn't a slam dunk to win a title. Right. We have LeBron saying, I'm willing to go to the Lakers by myself. It's a different era in the NBA.
Rachel, this is someone you know very well, and I have made this comment the last couple of nights, very, very far removed. I don't know the man well at all outside of shooting a commercial and having him on occasion here on the show. I sense that there's this clarity that comes from being above the fray, from being above the concern about how you're perceived and what people on our show and your show and morning shows say about him, and being a father and seeing the world through the eyes of Bronny and his boys and his children, his daughter as well. You know him. Do you sense that there's clarity where there wasn't before as it relates to making a decision about where he's going to play?
Absolutely. There's no question about that, Scott. And the fact that this is going to be a transition phase of his career. He is signing to be in Los Angeles, in effect, from the age of, he's turning 34 at the end of this year, to a time where he'd be turning 38 years old. That is clearly the end of his NBA career, and then maybe last a little bit longer if he wants to play in the same league as LeBron James Jr. We'll get to that. But the idea that he knows he's not going to be the best player in the NBA forever, that could have been decided for him if he had stayed in Cleveland. Maybe he would have been knocked out of those finals appearances in the East. He's taking control of that narrative now. He knows by going to the Lakers, probably won't make the finals this coming year. That streak is going to end. But that streak is ending on his terms, his way. That is very interesting to me, and yet another thing LeBron has been able to pull off in this crazy career he's had.
And I'm sure you'll be sitting down face-to-face with him. It won't be hard to track down. He's right there in the same town as you. We look forward to hearing that conversation when it comes to it, and we appreciate the chat as always tonight. Look forward to watching you guys tomorrow.
Thank you.
You got it. That's Rachel Nichols. So what kind of impact are you talking about when LeBron James joins your squad? Well, as a rookie, we were talking about a kid, but he was a kid that helped Cleveland win 35 after they were 17-65 the season before. He goes to South Beach, took the talents there, of course, led the Heat to the NBA Finals after they were 58-24, an 11-win improvement over the Miami team that lost in round one of the playoffs the year before. When he went back to Cleveland, they improved by 20 wins over the record before. And am I supposed to go over there to join Bobby? Oh, well, I'm going to walk over here. Bobby Marks is here. Sorry, I would have put. See, I'm going to let you guys in on a little TV secret. You got places to put your microphones, and I would have done this far more elegantly if I knew I was going to be standing up here letting you all get the full inventory of your guy here. See, it's a little sloppy. Yeah, we look alike enough. Okay, so everybody out there that's just saying, hey, go get Kawhi, and that's fun to say on Twitter because you can just say anything. How hard is it going to be for the Lakers to bring somebody of that caliber in salary-wise?
Extremely hard, and we can walk you through.
Please do.
Right now, the Lakers are at $47.6 million. This is before all the transactions today, and we are leaving Luol Deng's $18 million on the cap. We are not stretching it over over 5 years to reduce his number. We are leaving Julius Randle's $12.4 million there. Mm-hmm. And when we put James over, we slide him in. That goes down to $12.8 million. So you've got a little bit of a room. They agreed to sign Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, $12 million for 1 year. When we put KCP in, we had him projected at $9 million. Okay. So we got a little bit of a bump there. We put KCP in. That leaves you at $1.7 million in room. What they're going to do is they're going to use that room first. They've got a couple second-rounders. Steve Mihalik from Kansas, who they drafted, they're going to probably sign him to using a little bit of that room. Now, here's the thing. Now you agree to a term with Lance Stevenson, right. The 4.4 room mid-level exception. We can put Lance in here. We had him projected at $1.5 million.
Okay.
So he is getting the $4.5 million room mid-level here.
Born ready, Steve.
Always.
Okay, so now we're in the red.
Now we're in the red, but you can use the room mid-level and exceed the cap. That is part of the rule. You don't have to be under the cap to use that. Now we're going to add
JaVale McGee.
Now we're going to add JaVale McGee to the minimum. You can use the minimum exception. JaVale McGee, $1.5 million. You can use it and exceed the cap. And now this is your Laker team right now. LeBron, Luol Deng, Julius Randle still on the roster. And
when you were with us earlier tonight and you were talking me through this and you were explaining how if they were going to deal with the Spurs, right, and they could have moved a couple of firsts and some attractive pieces, but that can't be done now. Why?
It's going to be extremely difficult. Never say never, but this is going to be a hard path. Luol Deng, that's non-negotiable for San Antonio unless you want to throw in 3 first-round picks, and I don't think the Lakers are willing to do that. Julius Randle, you have that hold there. That is counting against the cap. And when you look at it, when we scroll through here, you have Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, Mo Wagner, who you just signed. You can't trade him for 30 days.
Kuzma
Kyle
would be very attractive, had a great rookie season.
Josh Hart. You can combine all those, and that gets you to $18 million. But you basically have to clear out all your young players here.
So you have to get rid of everybody.
You got to get rid of everybody because you are not a team under the cap right now.
And you'd have to do the same thing to get Boogie Cousins.
Boogie Cousins is unrealistic.
Okay, so everybody out there that's saying that's what you want to do, you can't do it. So you have to find a different path.
You will.
Okay, or wait till next summer.
Well, when you have a max salary slot.
There you go. All right. See? Bobby, thank you. I used the word last night, foregone conclusion. That made some Cavs fans angry, but sorry, it's kind of the way it was trending, and that's the way it went. 4 years, 153.3 for the Lakers. That's a longer term than he'd been agreeing to. The fans in Los Angeles, obviously, I see what we're doing. And all you folks out there, NBA fans that can't stand Laker fans, and you didn't enjoy this 5-year period of time when they stunk, you needed to enjoy it more because it's over. Meanwhile, in Cleveland, make it a double. Dave McMenamin joins us now. And, Dave, you know, LA's the party and Cleveland's going to have to try to make sense of what happens next. And when he leaves, man, it rarely is a pretty picture. What does the picture look like?
There's mixed emotions here. He delivered on a promise to win a championship for the city of Cleveland, the city where he grew up about 40 miles south of in Akron, Ohio. Came back in the prime of his career, gave 4 years of that prime back to the Cavs after the Cavs owner really lit him on fire when he left in 2010. And Cavs fans will forever have that moment in 2016. Now, there is a degree of disappointment, sadness, shock, mostly centered around the fact that he signed a 4-year deal with the Lakers, because that's a commitment he never gave to the Cavs the second time around. It was a 1-year deal with a 1-year option. Then it was another 1-year deal with a 1-year option. Then they win the championship, and what did that buy the Cavs in loyalty? Oh, a 2-year deal, and then he opted out, and now he's going to Los Angeles. So I think there's some hand-wringing around the fact that, and had he managed this differently, maybe it could have looked differently. Maybe we could have added more championships to this time frame, but ultimately, it's a feeling of appreciation for what LeBron brought over these last 4 years.
And all of what you're saying makes sense. I mean, sure, you have that moment in time that he came back to do what he did. I'd say that you have to look at that time and say they got to the finals every single year, and they existed during the time a super team was created. So sure, be happy about that. And as far as the 1-year contract deal goes, players covet flexibility and being nimble now more than anything else. I guess what I'm asking, Dave, is just from the Cavaliers' perspective, he's gone. So what they have now is a bunch of salary committed to a team that wasn't good enough with him, and now they don't have him. So what do they have?
Yeah, and the ultimate irony, of course, is they made those deals in February with the Lakers to acquire Larry Nance Jr. and Jordan Clarkson, which opened up the cap space for the Lakers to go out and sign LeBron James, which is kind of wild to wrap your head around. But what they look at was, one, it started last summer. It started when they traded Kyrie Irving. They coveted a young asset. They almost traded for Josh Jackson, the Phoenix Suns. They ultimately traded for number 8, or the Brooklyn first-round pick that ended up being number 8 pick. They got Colin Sexton. And Kobe Altman said last week, we are now in the player development business. And that means that Colin Sexton is a top priority. Jordan Clarkson, they hope to be able to get Rodney Hood back. They extended him a qualifying offer. Larry Nance Jr., Jetty Osman, who they signed last summer, rather than going after a veteran like Jamal Crawford, and Ante Zizic. And you know, all those names, all the games of those guys combined right now, you don't think is much. But if the Cavs coaching staff can get more out of them, you know, that's their best path for success. Now, Kobe Altman has said before that his idol when it comes to being a GM is Sam Presti in OKC. And that's kind of the ethos of that organization where, yeah, I mean, it's easy to look now and say KD and James Harden and Russ Westbrook were all amazing picks, but partially they're amazing picks because the organization allowed them to reach their full potential. That's what the Cavs want to do now, and it could be a very long process before we see them back, even as a playoff contender, quite frankly.
All Altman has to do is just draft 3 guys that all win MVPs, and everything should work out just fine from here, Dave. Thanks so much for being with us, man. Appreciate the time.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so the new odds from our friends at the Westgate in Las Vegas. Obviously, the Warriors are massive favorites and will continue to be as long as they've got who they've got. But the Lakers are now at the same odds as the Celtics and slightly better odds than the Rockets. And then you got the Sixers there at 14-1. Cleveland, 500.